Hey, what's going on, guys? Wanted to jump back on here, get our October monthly market update. I know we're a little bit into November already, but I wanted to wait till after the presidential election to cover what's been going on market-wise since then, what to expect over the next 4 years and beyond, realistically. But first, before we jump into that stuff, I want to tell you really quick, just a funny story that happened to me. So obviously, last month was Halloween. I'm not normally a big costume person. I know, kind of lame, but my networking group that I'm a member of in Lincoln, California, just right down the hill from Auburn here, we were doing a trick-or-treating event. So all of the business owners in the networking group, we had booths out there. And then the kids after school, in between, school and when it got dark for a few hours when they went to do their normal trick-or-treating out at the neighborhoods surrounding the downtown area, they came to the town square and did their trick-or-treating event with us. So we had a DJ and a cakewalk and all sorts of fun stuff. So anyways, I set my booth up, sitting there before everything gets started. And this guy comes up. He was doing a social media, just kind of advertising and talking to people, about the event and everything. So he has like a GoPro on a stick and he just shoves it right in my face. And he says, "Hey, what's your name? What's your business name? What do you do? What's your favorite Halloween candy? What's your favorite Halloween music? What's your favorite Halloween character?" Boom, 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 boom. Just like rattling all these questions. And I was like answering them all right away. Boom, boom. But it's hard. It's rapid fire there. He's asking them so fast that he said, "What's your favorite Halloween candy?" And there happened to be Skittles sitting in my bowl. So I was like, Skittles is the first thing that pops to your mind. But he said, "What's your favorite Halloween character?" And I just blanked. I couldn't think of anything. And, when somebody asks you a question and you have like a time that you're supposed to answer it really, really fast, but you can't think of anything, so your mind just goes even more blank. That's what happened. I couldn't think of a single Halloween character at all. So that week, I had been watching some Halloween movies, and we had watched Silence of the Lamb, which I don't know if it even qualifies as a Halloween movie. It just came up when I Googled spooky Halloween movies. So we watched it. I'd never seen it before. So unfortunately, that was the first thing that popped into my mind was Silence of the Lamb. So I told him my favorite Halloween character is Hannibal Lecter. And it was so awkward. I mean, we were at an event that there's little kids around and we're handing out candy. And so the guy says, "Your favorite Halloween character is Hannibal Lecter, the cannibal serial killer?" And I said, "I guess so, man. Sorry, that's all I got." So he just walked away and I didn't see him again. Thank goodness. It was a little awkward, but that was my spooky Halloween story that happened to me. So anyways, back to business here. What's been going on since the election? I want to talk a little bit today because before the election, I have a lot of people that ask, "Hey, Hunter, if a Republican gets put into office, should we be worried? Do we need to sit in cash? What's going to happen?" And then the other people will say, "If a Democrat gets put into office, should we be worried? Do we need to sit in cash, get more defensive? What's going on here?" So since Trump got elected, actually, let's look at year to date really quick. Let's zoom out, then we'll go back into Trump. So as you guys know, last couple of years, market's been on a tear, doing really, really, really well. S&P 500 year to date and the NASDAQ tech heavy index, both up about 25%. The Russell 2000 is our small cap index. I want to highlight that this week, up 18% year to date. And then the Dow Jones up 16%, lagging the other indexes, but still having a great year. So since the election news over the last 10-day period, what's been going on? We have seen a huge boost in the market. I mean, the Russell 2000, the day after Trump got elected, was up almost 6%, which is unreal. I mean, a stock to be up 6% a day is crazy, let alone an index like the Russell 2000. But it was up almost 6% just that day. Over the last 10 days, it's up over 8.5%. Absolutely wild. What's been happening here? Well, really, a lot of it has to do with Trump's policies that the market is assuming will be put into place later on, right? He is about trying to help businesses, lowering corporate tax rates, and just overall making policies that are pro-business, of course. So with lowering tax rates and also as interest rates are getting cut here, it is making business a little bit easier for companies that are more highly levered and using more debt, which normally that's the smaller companies. They're the ones that need to finance themselves using more debt products. They're more highly levered. So when money's a little easier to come by, it makes the smaller companies have a better opportunity to perform well in the future. So that's really why the small cap index has been doing really well. Again, I think that small cap's going to do well for the foreseeable future here. I think both just between policies that may be coming out and then also just an overall sector rotation out of just mega cap US growth stocks and mega cap US tech stocks. people are starting to shift into some of these other sectors. So, I mean, even the other indexes, not quite as impressive as the Russell, but still have done great over a 10-day period. I mean, S&P up a little over 3%, NASDAQ up close to 4%, and the Dow Jones up almost 4.5%. So we've seen a big Trump bump here. But 10 days is a short time frame. I mean, you guys know, even year to date here is a short time frame. We want to be investing for the next 5, 10, 15. Some of you guys can't touch this money for 30 years in your retirement account. So we got to zoom out a little bit here and look at the big picture. So I found some pretty interesting data I wanted to show you guys, basically about how we as people care about who wins the presidential election. Of course, we have different ideologies, different things that we believe in. And that's a good thing. That's what makes America so great, right? But we really need to make sure that we're not taking those thoughts and those emotions and putting them onto our investment decisions. So I want to show you guys some stats here to kind of drive that point home a little bit. So let me change my screen real quick. All right. So basically what I wanted to cover was really markets don't care about who's president. We care as people. We get these emotional gut reactions, and that's okay, right? I mean, I get it. Everybody has their viewpoints that they believe in, but we tend to put those emotional feelings that we have inside onto the market and think that the market feels the same way. The market could care less. I mean, it is. I'm going to show you all this data, about why it really, over the long term, it really doesn't matter which party's in office. There's other things that matter, but just whether you're a Republican or Democratic president is not a reason to either, try to shoot the moon here and be ultra aggressive or hide cash underneath your pillow and be ultra conservative. We don't want to have either of those gut reactions. So this was a really interesting one, I thought. If you would have invested $10,000 in the Dow Jones in 1896, I mean, just $10,000. And this is assuming you never touched it, right? We just left it there, forgot about it all the way until 2023. You lived for over 100 years here. And then you went and looked at what your balance would be. If you would have stayed fully invested that entire time, right, you would have ended up with roughly $10 million over that time frame, which is pretty crazy to think about, that you could have invested $10,000, end up with 10 million, granted over 100 years there. But this is what's pretty nuts. Let's say you believe in the Democratic Party and you were only going to invest during Democratic administrations, that dark purple line here. I mean, it's hard to tell the exact number, but I'm guessing that $10,000 would have been worth probably $700,000, let's just say. Sounds pretty good. I mean, if we didn't talk about the $10 million first, the $700,000 only investing $10,000 sounds great. But again, if you would have just been fully invested throughout that entire time, you would have done so much better. And it's the same story. If you would have only invested during Republican administrations, it's even less. Call it $500,000 maybe. Point being, the market doesn't care. It's not like only when Republicans are in office is when the market has great years, or only when Democrats are in office, the market has great years. It has great years under both parties, right? So we got to get away from pushing our own personal emotional thoughts onto our investment decisions. We got to keep those separate. A couple other things that I wanted to show you guys here. This was a really funny one. So, the obvious politically focused sector calls are often wrong. What does that mean? So when Trump was president last time, everybody would think the obvious play is buy oil and gas companies, right? And when Biden was elected president, the obvious answer is we want to go green energy. Well, looking at what actually happened when Trump was president last time, the S&P Clean Energy Index absolutely smoked the S&P Oil and Gas Index. I mean, it looks like it was down 50% while the clean energy was up 150%. It was the exact opposite of what you would think. And then under Biden, it flip-flopped. When you would think you would want to invest in clean energy, the clean energy index was actually down and oil and gas performed great. So you don't want to get stuck thinking, oh, well, duh, Trump's president. We want to maybe invest in Raytheon and, other companies and oil and gas companies. And it's just so obvious that's what he's going to push. It doesn't really matter. A lot of times those calls are often wrong. So again, don't push your personal emotions onto your investment decisions. Okay, one last thing that I wanted to cover here. So obviously, there are important things that we have to look at. All I'm saying is it's not solely is a Republican or is a Democrat in president. That's not the only thing. We need to be looking at things like Where's the economy when the presidency is starting, or just at the current state of mind? What does the yield curve look like? Where are interest rates going? What are equity valuations looking like? Those are real tangible things that we can talk about outside of politics that do have an effect on what we want to do with our investment decisions. But just to drive this point home, I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse here, but so of course Reagan and Obama are not in the same political party, right? And you can just see during Reagan's term, the market was up 207% during that time. During Barack Obama's, it was up 234%. So under Democrat and Republican parties both, we can have great market conditions. And so if political parties were not the deciding factor, the parallel factor here within these two great market terms, what was? Well, both terms began in recession. Stocks were historically cheap. Equity valuations were very low. The Federal Reserve had easing monetary policy. They were making money easy to get by. They were trying to push, push the gas pedal on the economy. And so just overall, that was more important than just, we have a Republican or we have a Democrat president. So that's what I wanted to push and talk about today, guys, because again, I have a lot of those questions that people are fearful, either side of the coin, whatever person gets into office, they might think if it's not their party, the market's going to do terrible. That's not the litmus test that we want to be using at all. We want to be looking at actual real data like yield curves, like equity valuations, all these things that we're currently doing within our portfolios. And we always do. I mean, we do it on a monthly basis just to make sure that the portfolios are set up where we want to be. So with that, guys, if any questions come up, give me a call anytime. Of course, always happy to chat. But just wanted to make sure we talked a little bit about the political election as everybody else is. So we had to cover it for a little bit here. So anyways, guys, with that, have a great rest of November. And if I don't talk to you in person soon, I will see you next month for our next market update. Take care, guys. Bye.